Relax, enjoy. Okay. Does the
I'm
S
glad you like
stand for anything?
Huh?
Does your S stand for anything?
Probably the Hotel Sheraton.
Oh my God. Yes, that's it.
I don't know. I assume.
Okay, we're talking a very serious subject. You are a
Yeah.
targeted individual,
Unfortunately, yes.
and we've just been discussing your background. Okay, Rainetta, we left you at with doing mathematics in part two, which is part two of Basis 54, but it's only part one of your particular testament. Basis 54 is witness statements. We'll have a lot of people on this. Um, so, what happened about the mathematics, and what happened about the next stage in your life, and why you're sitting here? Why is this an odd situation? What's actually happening here that's strange?
Right. What I wanted to do for this portion is I wanted to showcase some of the anomalies that's coming off of my body. Okay. This is an electromagnetic radiation detector. Okay. So I'm going to hold it up to the screen.
Okay, now
Okay.
what frequency does it do? What type is it? Yeah, okay. The DT
Okay.
13 1130.
11:30, right? And it's off right now. I'm going to put it on. Okay. It's on right now. You see the red
Okay,
light?
yeah,
And it's at 0. Okay?
okay,
Right. So I'm going to scan around me. You're watching me scan, right?
yeah,
Okay, there's nothing, I don't have anything metal on.
okay. Now,
Okay?
what frequency range, just, I know we can look that up afterwards, we do the recording. What frequency range is that looking for?
Okay, unfortunately, I should have brought that, but I didn't.
Okay, we'll deal with that afterwards. Okay, just get on.
Okay,
Okay.
can I get that to you afterwards?
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
Okay.
Let's just get on.
Okay, so now I'm going to aim it at my head, okay? There's nothing metallic on. Okay? Did you hear that?
No, okay. Okay,
Can
yeah,
you see?
okay. It's really going off, right? 150 from 0 to 150. Okay, you've got signals there.
Yeah, that's my head. Now we're going to go down. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. You're doing very well. They're doing fine. You get a good picture.
Can you see?
Yeah. Okay, you're 0 at the moment, but then you go up to a huge thing just about there. Yeah.
Okay, can you see? You still seeing?
Yeah, it's 0 at the moment, but you had a huge reading.
Okay. Did you see that?
There's a peak just below the camera level there. It went up to about. Okay, it's 0 at the moment. Okay,
Can you see?
yeah, huge.
You saw that?
Yeah.
Can you see
400.
that?
Yeah, huge. Four, 500. Okay. Now, what led you to even start doing that? Why did you want to do that? Okay, just explain what's happening.
Okay. Before I get into the story, on in January 2012, when I just started my contract at the UN, I started to experience severe dizziness, pains in my head, loud sounds coming from my stomach on my left side, um,
Sounds.
sounds
What sort of sounds?
like growls.
I mean, it just wasn't ordinary indigestion. You hadn't had a bad curry
No,
the night before.
no, because it happens like I never had any kind of stomach problems prior to 2012. No growls, no sounds, nothing out of the ordinary. The only thing I maybe I had was that once a month feminine issues. That's it. But other than that, no problem. But
Okay,
but
what sort of feminine
2012, when I
issues are you
started
referring
working at
to? I
the
mean, have
UN,
you had been able
all
to have
these things
children?
started happening.
Do you want to talk about those feminine issues briefly?
Sure, yeah. Because
I mean,
it goes.
can you have children?
Yeah. From what I know, yes.
Have you had children and then been taken away, like a MyLab or something?
No, no.
Okay.
But I wanted to start before I start the second phase when I began to wake up and realize that something was wrong. I wanted the audience to see that this is not just conjecture, but it's scientific fact that something there are things that are implanted inside of me. Now that's one. This is the second one. This one is a bug finder. It's very sensitive. Let me just hold it up.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, can you see that one?
Okay. Hold it steady. CC. Yeah. Okay.
How's that?
Yeah.
Right? This one is a RF frequency finder, and it's a bug detector. Okay? Now, you don't get it doesn't have a counter on it like that one. Okay? But it buzzes and it makes a loud sound whenever it picks up a foreign object. Okay? So now you see that it's black. It's sorry, the red light is not coming on.
Yeah.
Okay, you see that?
Okay.
Can you see? Right? All right, let me see. I think it probably needs to charge because it's not even, it's, okay, that one is not coming on. It's either dead or it needs to charge. All right, we'll just have to do that one later because for some reason this is not even, oh, I'm sorry. It was too low. Okay, there we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Sorry, the frequency was too low. So there we go.
The length of the aerial will determine what sort of frequencies you pick up. So by reducing the aerial length, you might actually improve the signal strength in high frequencies.
Okay. Okay, how's that?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's on now, right? Now it's a computer, so it's gonna go off, and it's in front of a camera as well. Now, watch this. Can you see that? No. You can't see it, can you?
Yeah. Now it's important to understand that that length of the aerial is for UHF.
Yeah. Okay, this is just not working at the moment.
Well, it could be because they know.
I noticed that with Dave.
Dave Marrow?
Dave, yes.
Dave M.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that.
He's part of the sort of super soldier program in the UK.
Yeah, he is. I don't know if I'm a part of that. I can't say. But I can say that when they do detect that you're onto them, things start.
Yeah, I have to say that I've scanned people with the gigahertz meter. That's the 2.5 gigahertz. That's 2,500 megahertz,
Right.
which is microwave, and I got nothing. But when I scanned with a different meter, I had the gigahertz meter lying a couple of feet away from this guy, and when I used a meter which found low frequencies, that's to say 2 kilohertz, 2,000 hertz, down to about 60 hertz.
ELF, right?
I started to, well, ELF's even further down.
Okay.
But when I started to pick something up, but you've got to use your intuition with this, because it's like dowsing. You almost have to use your own intuition along with the meter.
Right.
Suddenly, the gigahertz meter, which had found nothing, went off the scale.
Yeah.
for about
Yeah.
at least 2 whole minutes. It just went as if there was some kind of an alarm. There was a massive amount of microwave stuff coming from this guy because we'd found something in the low frequency range.
Right. So a lot of what we experience, a lot of what I know we experience is ELF.
So basically, there's a narrow band between 1.5 megahertz and 10 megahertz that they don't want publicly available. And in the United States, you can get a thing called a zap checker. And I tried buying that from this country in the UK, and you could look at it online, and as soon as you clicked purchase, because you were buying from abroad, you couldn't buy it. So the zap checker is what on the Dave Marrow movie Matt Todd was using to find implants on him. It's called a zap checker, and that's the one that you seem to want to get. Now the zap checker has since then been made with different frequency bands.
Oh, good.
And so that's the ones where they don't want you to measure in that middle band. It's the old marine band.
Yeah.
Because those frequencies go over long distances easily. So those frequencies, the reason why they use it for ships is because they'll travel long distances, and so ships can ship to shore transmission.
Right. Because I know a lot of this technology did come from the Navy.
That's a little bit of technobabble. Let's get on with your story.
Okay, so I'll just give you the story. When I came back to New York, I was advised, hey, why don't you get into modeling and stuff like that? Because I decided to take a break from school because I told you I was experiencing these mental blocks. And I think it could have been to electromagnetic sensitivity. Okay. I attributed it to that. When I got back to New York, I was told, hey, why don't you get into modeling and stuff like that? And I did.
I mean, you're a very strikingly good-looking woman, and there's two reasons for that. It seems that they like to choose. I mean, with going back to the history of the Monarch program, they chose a very famous model to exhibit the Monarch program. That's all part of the history thing. So it seems to be par for the course. That doesn't mean exclusively that, but okay.
I think I have to agree with that. But I was approached by several different scouts and told, hey, why don't you get involved in like fashion and modeling and stuff like that? So I said, okay, why not give it a shot? It's New York. I decided to take a break from school, and I was working. When I came back to New York, I didn't lose my academic intuition. I came up with I designed 2 products. And I don't know if you had the chance to go into my background a little bit.
Tell everybody, this is your
Yes,
chance.
I will. In 2000, when I came back from college, I came up with 2 products. One was the iPod, and the other one was the Kindle. I designed them like I usually do, and I outlined how they would work. I took this to a friend of mine in between modeling and working. I took this to a friend of mine, David Chesky, in New York. He's very big in the music industry, also in the tech industry, and the entertainment industry. I didn't know then he was an audio technician. I knew him as a classical musician. Okay, and we had a business meeting, and I took these 2 ideas to him. I did not show him the designs. I designed it at home. I called him up because I said I wanted to get a patent for this. I was 19. I had turned 20 at the time. Okay, so I went to him to have this business meeting, and in the business meeting we spoke about Sony. And at the time, the music industry, in 2000, the whole Napster episode and piracy, and Napster was basically stealing all these copywritten material, and the music industry was losing money, and they were losing a lot of money. So I told him about these two designs, and I asked him if he would help me get the money to get patents for it. And he told me, he said, A, no one would buy it. This was his exact words. No one would buy it. Okay? So forget it. So I left that meeting. I still had the designs then. I left that meeting really like, disenchanted, because I really believed in these two products. About a year and some months later, the iPod comes to market. But before it came to market, I happened to meet this guy, this Russian guy, and my best friend at the time, when we were hanging around, she said to me, she called me Rain. She said, Rain, there's this guy, everywhere we go, we keep seeing, there's this guy who follows you everywhere you go. And I said to her, I was like, oh, please, like, I was like, you're going crazy. She said, no, seriously. She said, this guy, he follows you everywhere you go. And I said to her, okay, which guy, So she pointed him out. And I said to her, no, that can't be true or whatever. She said, okay. So finally, one day we're in the park hanging out, and she's like, Rain, I'm telling you, this guy is following you everywhere you go. So I said to her, I said, look, hey, let's go talk to him. I said, it's two of us, it's one of him. Let's go talk to him and see what he's about. So anyway, we went to speak to him and stuff like that. And we got to know him, and I said, look, he's not he's not following me. He's not insane. Just get over it. So she said, okay, so we started to get to know him, and he was strange. Okay. He worked in the former, he was in the Russian military, from what he said. He was in the Russian military, and he left Russia, and he left the Russian military, and he moved to the United States. Okay.
Yeah. So you just moved to the United States from Russian military, no questions asked.
And I, as a 20-year-old, with no background, in conspiracies, and no background in any, no background that any of these things exists, or none of these covert technologies exist. I was just like, okay, he was in the Russian military, and he left, the Russian military, and came to New York, and okay, case closed. Now, when that happened, when the iPod was launched, and I did an interview about this, when the iPod was launched, the time frame that it was launched, he invited me to go on a business meeting with him in London. Okay? When we went to the business meeting in London, he was acting really, this is when I noticed that something was really wrong. He was acting really, really, really weird. He was weird on the plane, and then when we got to London, he started like freaking out and going insane.
Okay, what do you mean by weird and freaking out? What sort of behavior?
His whole demeanor changed. Okay, the iPod was launched. I think it was the 23rd of either the 21st or 23rd of October, and that time frame for a couple of days when the iPod was launched, he asked me. This is right after September 11th. He asked me if I wanted to go with him to a business meeting in London. So I wasn't in New York when the iPod was launched. I was in London. Okay, when we got on the plane, he was really, he started acting like I don't know, like he was really fidgety, and then he had these severe mood swings. He would go from one pendulum to the other. We got on the plane, he couldn't sit down, and I was just like, okay, why is he acting so, weird? Then when we got to London, I finally couldn't take it anymore. I took a train, and I went to visit one of my old college friends back in Sheffield. And when it was time to return, I just came back. I came back to New York. And when we got back to New York, I said, you know what? He has to go. I was like, my best friend was right. He is a weirdo. He is strange. He's definitely insane. I was like, I need to get away from this guy. He totally, I don't know what was going on. He flips out, okay, and literally like grabs me and slams me against the wall. And I literally had to fight this guy off and get away from him. And that's how I ended up getting away from him. And then I had to call the police to get a restraining order against him. After that, he calls me, even though, there's a restraining order, he calls me. I never invited him to where I lived. He calls me and says to me one day, "Hey, I'm outside. Come downstairs." And I'm like, "Outside where?" He's like, "Outside in front of your building." And I'm like, how does he know where I live? I never told him where I lived. I never gave him any information about where I lived. And he knew exactly where I lived. Okay? So this is when I started to realize that something was going on. And I didn't pinpoint it to the friend that I took these two not copyrights, but these two inventions to. Okay. From that point in time, I started noticing that there would be strange occurrences in my life. One of the things was my friendships started to be infiltrated. I always had, I was always a social person, always had a large group of friends. For example, I introduced to my best friend another very good friend of mine, and then these two, all of a sudden, they're supposedly lesbians, and the two of them turn against me. I mean, it's strange, but targeting, it starts creeping up little by little by little by little.
What do you mean they exactly what was their behavior? If you can describe what their just behavior.
Okay, I always
Keep going.
okay, I always moved in different circles. I was never one for staying in like one circle, right?
Yeah.
I was never a person that stayed in, like one circle. Like, I'm an artist, I'm only with artists. I could move in any circle. I was always malleable like that because I liked people. And my friend from modeling, my best friend, she never got involved in the fashion scene. So I introduced one of my friends from modeling to my best friend from school. And within a week, I started noticing that they both began to change. Now, my best friend from school, I knew since I was a teenager, right? My friend from modeling, I knew from like for a couple of years. And when I originally introduced them, they hated each other. And when the other left, typical girl stuff. But targeting works like that. It's very subtle. And the reason why I'm speaking about these little intricacies is so that people would be able to detect it at the beginning of it before it can become detrimental. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's very helpful because we're actually introducing a therapist from Canada. Although when this goes out, it'll all be over. But we're trying to bring people who can actually help with satanic child abuse.
Yeah.
And we need to go into that with you as well. Okay, continue.
No problem. So I'm telling you again, the little specifics that people need to pay attention to. And one of the first lines that they try to infiltrate is either your family or your friends. Okay? Because what they do is they try to go for the entire foundation that makes a person's sociology, people around them and how they relate to people around them. And they try to infiltrate that, destroy that foundation in order to label them insane.
Yeah. Gaslighting.
Okay. Gaslighting, exactly. And it has a psychiatric twist to it as well. Right.
So the whole system's rigged, so you've got to be quite careful.
This is why I'm going into these details, because the average person will look at this situation and say, oh, that's just girls, because that's what I did. But 15 years later, 15 years later, not paying attention to those little subtleties, this is where my life is. You see what I'm saying? So it's
Okay.
important that those who are new to this understand how it starts. So I believe that my present situation began from that meeting when I went to that friend of mine with these two inventions, asking him for money to get a patent. He's telling me no, no one's going to buy it. And then my product ends up on the market and my life gets ruined.
Now, how did you come up with those ideas in the first
Okay,
place for the Kindle and the iPod, iPhone,
sure. iPod, not the iPad.
iPod?
Yeah. Okay. When I came out of college, right? At the time, it was an environment where, I mean, these things don't exist now. We still had cassette recorders. We still, in the 90s and in the year 2000, still had cassette recorders. We had MP3, okay? However, I had a CD player and I absolutely, two things from college, okay? Every college student had CD player, some preliminary, some basic type beta MP3, or they had a cassette recorder because we still had cassettes in the year 2000. Okay, they're phased out now. That's how far we've come. Now in college, I had a CD player. I hated it because as a college student, you know, you're always strapped for cash. And the last thing you need is to take the last cash you have to buy batteries, you know, disposable batteries, right? So the idea came about because I was sick and tired of dropping my CDs, scratching my CDs, losing the batteries dying, and having to find batteries in the middle of nowhere. All college students had this problem. The second thing is as a college student, we always had these huge textbooks. So I said to myself, I said, there has to be a way where we can integrate the internet and music on a device without CDs and disposable batteries. Okay? The Kindle came out of my college experience. Again, I was a college student dragging around these heavy textbooks.
Yes, I
Okay?
remember seeing people with these huge textbooks, yeah,
And they were
which
heavy.
cost
And
a
you
lot
see,
of money.
yeah, of course, and they cost a lot of money. You lose them, forget it, right? You lose them, forget it. That's my college textbooks. I remember one set of textbooks because I was studying molecular biology. I was just beginning to study it. Okay, my college textbooks cost between $800 and 1,200 US dollars. Okay, and they were about this big.
Yeah.
Okay, and if I
Are
had
you talking
four
about that
classes
thick?
that day, sorry.
Thick?
Yeah. And if I had four classes that day, yeah, right? Right? Yeah. That's what you had to carry around, right?
Well, it's made you into a strong, fit girl. Nothing wasted there.
Oh no, no, no. But it can have a tear on you, you know, on having to lug around these heavy. And imagine, you know, the other thing too was kids had to carry their textbooks as well. Have you ever picked up a kid's school bag? You know,
No.
so the concept of the iPod came out of my utter disdain for CD players, right? And the battery, the disposable battery, because even the MP3s at the time still required disposable batteries. Okay, and the Kindle came out of I was just coming out of college. I told you I still had a somewhat of a scientific mind, even though I literally couldn't grasp what I was getting on the page. Um, and this is a fact. And the Kindle came out of that, came out of my experience in college. And these two things, one, the iPod came out of that CD player, and particularly disposable batteries, and the Kindle and these heavy textbooks we had to carry all over. Okay, now what I did is I designed like what I usually do with all my other work is I just get a paper and I illustrate, okay, this is what it would look like, you know, and this is how it would work. Okay? But I did not take that to my friend. He saw This is what he said to me in the meeting. He said it would put the retailers, because when we were discussing, I told him about the Kindle and the iPod, and he said to me no one would buy it, and it would put the retailers out of business. When we look in the year 2000, before the rise of the iPod, there was a huge retail music industry, okay, of which he was a part of because he was a musician, right? So part of his money came directly from retail sales. And what I argued with him about, I said to him, I said, look, music, I said, what Sony has to do is, I said, Sony has had to shift from portable CDs and disposable batteries to the internet. And this is where music should come from. They should have music on the internet and a portable device that does not require a CD and disposable batteries. I told him about the concept. And I said the music should go from the internet to the device, and that's it. And then I told him about the Kindle, because we discussed in the meeting Sony, because I think he had some major business deal with Sony, and Sony was losing at the time a lot of money. So he basically said to me, A, they wouldn't buy it, and B, it would put the retailers out of business. I said, listen, and this is before the retailers went out of business, like A&R, A&R World. I'm not sure what they had in the UK, but these major music retailers, remember, they were everywhere with these CDs and vinyls and all these things. He said it would put them out of business. I said, the problem is, if they don't automate and move to the internet, they will go out of business. And this is precisely what preceded the advancement of the iPod and then the Kindle.
Now,
Right?
did you sign any kind of confidentiality agreement? Not that it would be worth anything, really.
I should have signed a confidentiality
Yeah, well,
agreement.
that's yeah.
I should have. But again, the mistake I made at the time. Sorry?
Yeah, no, fine.
The mistake I made at the time was looking at him as a friend.
Yeah. There's no such thing as friends in business. Business
Exactly.
is always business.
It's always business. I was
Business
20
is
years
business
old.
is business is business.
Yeah. I was 20 years old, naive about these industries. I was 20 years old, naive about these industries, had no clue that he had a background in the tech industry, didn't even know he had such a prolific background in the tech industry, that he would be named one of Steve Jobs' successors. He was named in one of the top 5 people to replace Steve Jobs. I didn't know that. He introduced himself to me as a classical pianist,
Yeah.
not an audio technician, capable of building these things. Okay?
So that makes you ever so slightly unhappy.
What makes me angry is this. What makes me angry is not the fact that he stole my work. Okay? It's not the fact that he lied. He did not have to systematically destroy my life. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the where I am today had to do with that business meeting, because when I realized, because I had to do a lot of spiritual things to go back in time to pinpoint where this occurred. Okay? And in using spiritual projections, I was able to gauge and locate him spiritually as the root core of this. But not just him, his connections with the tech industry, his connections with the media, his connections with the entertainment industry, and his connections with the police. Okay? And it's all interconnected. His connections with Apple. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. His direct connections with Apple. Okay? Because Apple brought it to market. And when I did my spiritual projections, he kept coming back. Okay?
Right.
And I began to search him out physically, and that's when the truth began to be uncovered. And this is why I'm here today in this predicament. And I'm able to say that he took my work, sold it to Apple, okay? They brought it to market, and then they deployed a strategy to get rid of the inventor. Do you understand?
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you saying this is why you've got a head full of implants?
Yes. This
It's
is the
focusing
root.
on these implants. And so that brings us as to why that's there.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, this is, I strongly believe that Apple is a part of it because Apple is a huge player in the AI,
Now, I
and,
think we have to
like,
this time put a sort of a legal thing up that this is what you allege. You are alleging this.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we'll take it that this is an allegation. Are
Yes.
you able to
Yes.
prove any of this? Are you able to push any of this? Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I can prove it
Well, why don't they just run you down? For God forbid, why don't they just sort of bump you off,
because I
disappear you?
just woke up. I just woke up.
And when did you wake up?
I realized he was involved with it when I was outside of the country. Okay? And the relationship that Apple had when I was outside of the country. Now, they did try to on several occasions because I ended up inside of a women's shelter in New York City. And not just any shelter, shelter for women who are mentally ill and dying.
Wow.
Okay?
Now,
And
how did that happen?
it happened, well, they targeted every area of my life. They turned communities against me. They turned people that knew me against me. They used the media, and a major factor, a major part in the negative campaign that I have is the media.
Okay, what happened? Why you? I mean, okay. What did the media? Why? Explain.
Okay, well, part of targeting is to discredit the person in all directions, all forms. They target families, they target friends, they target you financially, they target your sanity. Any place that can prove, any foundation that can prove that you are sane, okay, reasonable, a social person, anything that can prove that you are normal, they target to destroy in order to discredit you. Okay? So
Okay,
having a good family relationship is not in their interest because that can be
that's
used
so very
against you.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that puts you under a
That
great deal of emotional strain as well.
Now that the truth has come out, not as much. The only thing that I experience day to day is severe physical pain. And that's because it's not just implants, it's transmitters that's inside of me, okay, that's
Okay, now
continuous.
we're going to be. You've submitted a number of MRI and X-ray scans.
Yes.
So we've got 10 minutes left on it. No, we got 19 minutes left on this. So can we go into those scans?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to email you all of the images, okay?
Okay.
Okay, and you're going to be able to see in detail what I'm speaking about, okay,
Okay.
because I don't have them printed
Yeah. That's
right here,
fine.
right now. But you can use these images to show the proof, the evidence that what I am saying is true.
Well,
Okay?
I'd just like to thank you for doing this. This takes a great deal of courage, and I really do salute you and salute witnesses like you. This is a big step, and it's helping others. So let's get the word out on this. Okay.
No
So
problem. This
in
is
your
why
own
I
time,
started,
yes.
sorry. This
Go
is
ahead.
why I started this sequence with these two devices. Okay? Okay. So to show you what the x-rays, the MRIs, and the reports substantiate can be proven scientifically with secondary evidence. Okay, so we're not in the realm of conspiracy, we're in the realm of scientific fact. Okay?
Okay.
Right. Because a lot of us get discredited because we're
Well,
not supporting our arguments in more than one way.
yes. Well, this is
Right?
precisely why I'm pushing for this targeted individuals. You've got to come up with some hard facts, hard information.
Right. And the tertiary, sorry,
That's okay.
no problem. And then the tertiary level, the preliminary level were the scans. The secondary, sorry,
I'm not saying anything.
okay. The preliminary level were the scans to corroborate what the person feels, because you literally feel there's something wrong there,
Okay.
right?
Now, just on this, how did you get those scans made? Because if you go to the doctor and say, "Hello, I've got implants in my head and I'm hearing voices," they're going to lock you up.
No, 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 no,
So,
no.
so how were you able to do this?
No,
And or how would you advise people who are feeling like this to proceed?
right. Do not, and the challenge that I have in this community is that people are not using their intelligence. No doctor, no psychiatrist, no psychologist, no police, no military, no government official, if it's not disclosed information, they will not come out and tell you you're under mind control, because they will be hanged like the Nazis in Germany.
Yeah.
Okay? This is a fact. This is why we had Nuremberg.
Oh,
Okay?
it's certainly on this level.
Yeah. So my advice to those who are discovering, or they have an intuition that these things are there, when they go to the doctor, they must tell the doctor, they must speak the language of the doctor,
Yeah.
which is symptoms.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
When you go to the doctor, you must speak in the doctor's language. For example, you don't say to the doctors, "I have implants that's causing me pain." Okay? What you say to the doctor is, "My symptoms are these and they're located here." What are some of the symptoms? Are severe pains in my head, blindness, inability, lack of cognition, um, lack of spatial direction, because it can sometimes if it's placed in your ear, you lose balance.
Yes.
Okay,
And there's a lot of people I'm aware of that. They just suddenly lose balance. They can't walk across a car park
they can't even walk across a car park.
because the
They
car
can't
park
even see.
they have to have vertical edges so they can visually know where they are. Because
Exactly.
their natural balance is gone, and it only
It's,
takes one ear, and then you literally fall over.
yes, this is 100% true.
You're not falling over because you've hit something. You're falling over because your body tells you that you're completely in the wrong side. Your horizontal mechanisms are off, skewed. So you get a
Right.
signal to actually move over to the right or left, but it's not falling over. But when you do that, you end up falling over.
You end up falling over. So
Yeah.
your spatial reality is off.
Yes, and then people think you're on drugs or you're drunk or some bloody thing.
Yes, exactly. So
What's wrong with that guy? It's weird,
yeah, that's exactly what you end up looking like. So my advice to them is, if you believe that you are in this program and you have been implanted, do not mention it. What you mention are the symptoms. If it's a doctor, you mention the symptoms. Okay?
Yeah.
So I gave you an example. If you're dealing with the police, okay, the police in some states do have this technology, but it is not disclosed to the public. There is no public disclosure. So you do not go to the police and say, "I am being electronically harassed," because the first thing the police will do is refer you to the psychiatrist.
And they might have you on a file anyway for harassment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you'll only alert them to the fact that you know. So
Yeah.
when you're dealing with the police, I like it when you smile. When you're dealing with the police, it's very important. It's very important when you're dealing with the police that you speak their language,
Yes.
right?
As with the
So,
doctor, speak the
as
language
with the
of the.
doctor.
Yeah.
So differentiate the roles when you're speaking to your family. If your family does not have this foundation, hmm?
No, I haven't said anything.
Okay.
Are you
If your
hearing a
family
glitch or something? Is there some other noise you're hearing?
no, there's a lag.
Yes, there's quite a lag, and when we start talking about this, it can be quite laggy. That's why I'm not trying to move.
Okay. Oh,
If I
that's
do this here with my hands,
okay.
you might get a bit of a lag.
Now not so much. It's in the speech mostly,
Yeah, okay. Right, okay.
right? So, okay. Now, remember I told you yesterday, if you see this side, the left on my left, your right. If you see the left side of my eyes moving and it's not focusing, it's not you, it's me. Okay? Because there's a wire from here all the way back here. Okay? And it's embedded into my flesh. Then there's a hook here, which you will see in the MRIs. There's a hook here by my temple that goes into my brain. Okay? There is a black object. This is my ear canal. Okay? There's a black object in front of the ear canal. Okay? And then there's an object at the top center of my head that goes into, it's a long object about 2 millimeters, 2 to 3 millimeters, that goes into a circular orb. It's like this, right?
Yeah.
So and it goes into a circular orb right here in the top center of my head. Okay? Then on the MRIs in my pelvic area, or on the right, no, I'm sorry. On the left, there is a small 4-pointed square. You can see it, that looks like a CPU for a computer.
Okay.
Okay? And there are other structures as well, but those are the ones that there's a lot of them, especially in my head. There's wires here that you can see on one of the MRIs, and there's another wire that's deep inside of my head. Okay, and they look exactly like the same images that Kieran has.
Yeah.
And this is
Let's
why
give a shout out to Kieran Lee Perrin, and he has he's actually got MRI scans, and there's another Irish woman called Marie Kayali who presented me with a number of scans. Extremely brave woman, has had a very hard time, and I don't want to say much more. And we send healing and help out to her. So this is very, very important physical evidence, and continue. Okay, thanks to Kieran. Kieran got us to meet. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that because again, one of the challenges is getting other people who have the same structures, I call them structures, inside to come out and disclose that these things are there. Okay? Now, the
Well,
third,
just whilst you're saying that, as we're coming up to 9 minutes in to the end, this is the precise point of what we're doing right now. This is what I want to make clear to anybody who's got evidence and this is happening, that this is an open door for people to come and make their public statements, to get the shout out, get things out there, but you've got to have some kind of physical evidence. Okay, so okay, that's it, and that's the Miles at the Basis Project. That's the email is miles@thebasisproject.org. Okay, continue.
no problem. So far I've been able to capture, and some of it is nanotech. When I looked at my x-rays with my naked eye, you can't see anything. So I used the zoom that's provided in the medical file, and when I began to zoom area by area by area, I started seeing these specks come up, and in the medical term, they're called radio opaque, okay,
Yeah.
or radio lucent.
Yeah.
Okay, some of it the light is able to go through, some of it the light is not able to go through. It's not able to penetrate. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
it's
think
either radio
also
opaque.
people understand that when you get these, you've got a DVD, yeah,
Um,
or CD
I
of
have
your
stills
scans.
and I have stills and I have videos,
But
moving images.
when you get it, do you get a separate program that comes with that? If you
Yes,
can be
in
separate
order
with,
to view
which
it. Yes,
allows you to look at the very fine detail of this in high resolution that the doctors use.
yes, exactly.
Okay, but you're giving us copies from that.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
So that way you'll be able to show them without my interference. Okay, and it's better for it to be done because again, I'm new to your audience, and your audience, for the most part, trust your guidance and your
Yeah.
instinct.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to give you these images, the moving images and the still images, and you will be able to show them to your audience. Okay, because again, your audience is new to me, and your audience, they know you, they trust you, they've been around you for quite some time, and they're able to
Yeah.
they
Even
they
when I had
trust you.
hair. Yeah.
Pardon?
We're coming to the end of of your part two.
Okay.
Um, let's sort of summarize basically how you came up to knowing you had this stuff to even to get the MRI scans. How did you know to even? At what point did you realize something was in you?
January 2012.
And one day you're walking down the street, didn't know about it. Next day you did. What happened to make that a realization?
January 2012.
But why? What event happened?
I was in the UN. I just started working at the UN, and that's when I started getting all these problems. And I noticed that the problems were central to specific areas on the left side, back of my head,
Yeah.
my left eye. I never had any medical problems. My left eye not being able to focus, pain in my chest here, and then pain in my pelvic area.
Yeah.
And what I believe happened is that the technology was activated in 2012. So there was technology inside of me that was a receiver. I didn't know it was there, but I believe it was turned on actively in 2012, and that's when I started to feel the pain, or it was transmitting and receiving information, and that's when I began to feel the pain. And the pain, when your body is giving you pain, this is a clear indication that something is wrong,
Yes.
right? So January 2012, when I was behind my desk trying to work at the UN, that's when it started. I hope
Did you think it was anything to do with the security scans? You were going to a lot of scanners, which were triggering things at the UN.
it could
Body
have been,
scan
it could
things.
have activated it because that's possible because, well, before I started to work there, we were told, my group, we were told by the Human Resources Administrator, we're going to check. Okay, now I just thought, okay, she's going to do some background check. No, the UN, they do extensive, I mean extensive background checks. So this will let you know, in order for me to work on level 3, I went through all sorts of security clearances
Yeah.
globally.
Okay, well, that seems to be a very good point to end your second part in basis, whatever the heck it is. And we'll take another short break, and I'll get things reconfigured and see you on your third part. And let's concentrate on those scans.
Okay,
Okay, we'll take a break. Good to see you.
same here.
Are you okay for another hour? Yes?
Yeah. What I'm going to try to do is, in this break, I'm going to, at least, if I could send you the link to Facebook where some of the images are, and you could probably get those images up on the screen, because I think I have some good images there.